This is News 6 Tonight.
Have you ever had one of those days?
Today is that day.
Yes, it is.
Welcome, everyone, to News 6 Tonight. We hope it's your new digital destination. We're so glad you're along with this on this journey with us tonight, because it is a night and a show where we don't quite know what's going to happen. We just got off the phone. I did a Zoom interview with Melissa Calhoun. She is the Brevard County teacher whose license was suspended. She's on probation for a year, and today she learned that she won't be able to teach in Brevard County at Satellite High School. So we'll have that story for you coming up at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight, but we literally just got off a Zoom call with her, and her explanation as to why she continued to call that student by that student's preferred name. Enough about that.
Yeah, big story.
Yeah,
It just came together moments before this show.
Seconds ago.
Yeah.
But you, Matt Austin, have been out reporting in the field today because we've had two big stories in Orange County going on. We're talking about Doge and ICE. And today was one of those days where you got to really be out in the thick of it and talk to people and figure out what's going on. And your angle of the story today, you covered the Doge, where they are in town to figure out how Orange County is spending its dollars,
yes.
right? And you talked to our new CFO last week, one-on-one.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how this all seems to be coming together. So the new CFO is Golia. He works hand in hand with the governor, and they both say they want government efficiency, but it's kind of going along with another theme that they seem to be going down, which they are interested in getting rid of property taxes for people with homeowners exemptions. We know this because they tried to make it happen, didn't quite happen in the last session. And everybody's wondering, how are you possibly going to find that money? How are you going to make it up? And what they're saying is, maybe your local counties aren't spending that money appropriately, so they're going to audit those
They're going
counties.
through a lot of books.
They are. And they're going to be here. They showed up this morning. There's going to be 3 or 4 days in which these auditors are going to be collecting data and information, and then they're going to have about 60 days to go through it, and then they're expected to release their report. So the CFO,
What are some of the things they're looking at, though?
they're looking at a lot of stuff, like employees and how much
Overtime.
employees are making,
Yeah.
overtime. They're also looking at DEI initiatives, which will be interesting to see what they're wanting to get rid of or what they disagree with. And then no one's really explained quite yet, if the state doesn't like something, does that mean they can say, hey, get rid of this, and you have to? Because they've been pretty much forcing the county commission to do what they want them to do. So Golia, the CFO for the state, showed up today. This is what he had to say about these Doge investigations. No, we're not doing Golia first. We're going to do him second. Actually, no, we're talking. Which one are we doing first? Hey, welcome to Facebook, by the way.
Just the first the first obstacle you're dealing with in this case.
Potentially, yeah, because there's a very real fear and a very real credible threat that 2 of my colleagues could be removed, and I love them both. I like working with them, and so the thought of them being gone just because of a difference of opinion it's scary.
It may mean that I'm removed from this board, but this is a hill that's worth me standing on.
Okay,
Very
so
emotional.
It was very emotional. So that has to do. So we're juggling 2 stories right here. There's the Doge Cuts, and then we also have the ICE Addendum that was voted on today. I showed up there expecting to do a lot of stories about
The audit.
the Doge audit,
Yeah.
as those guys showed up, and to see how everybody was feeling. And the ICE, it was supposed to get done in the morning. They were supposed to vote on it. It was expected to pass, but they were still talking about it when I got there at 2, and then carried on into 3 o'clock.
And really, these two stories kind of merge because they're going on at the same time. The addendum, the ICE addendum, which was signed last Friday by Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, after he said, no, there's no way I'm going to sign this, and then turn around 24 hours later, and he said he signed the damn thing. And he said he did it under great duress.
Yeah, they all are saying, or most of them are saying, that they are doing this under duress. Kelly Semrad there said she hasn't slept for 4 nights. I talked to Mike Scott, who's another commissioner.
That was the first gentleman
That was
we
the
saw in
first
that
guy,
clip.
yeah, that we showed there. He said his blood pressure is up. He's super stressed. You can tell. just as a person being in that building, how much stress is going around in that office. Everybody seems very tense. And when you talk to them, you figure out why. Like Mike Scott said, look, because basically the threat is if you don't vote the way we want you to vote, we can remove you from office or possibly even put you in jail. So these commissioners aren't just worried about, a lot of them have other jobs.
Yeah.
This is kind of maybe a side gig for some of them. But when you start talking about putting somebody in handcuffs,
and you spoke to one of the commissioners who said that was not the image he was interested in.
That is a big thing. Like, that kind of thing follows you around. If you ever wanted to, a lot of these people mentor kids.
Yeah.
And if
How do you
these
explain
kids
that?
See them in handcuffs being taken off to jail. That is a very real, scary threat for them. So they did go along. They voted it. And so
it was
Orange
5-2,
County,
right?
It was 5-2. Orange County is going to transport the ICE detainees.
They've agreed to.
They agreed to do it. Jerry Demings, the mayor, after the fact said, I don't think that we're really going to end up transporting these folks, but didn't really elaborate much from that. So it's one of those stories that just keeps changing by the day. Last week the mayor said, I'm not signing this thing.
Yeah.
And then Friday, there he was signing the thing.
It.
So we keep seeing these changes, but they basically are saying, like, we can either sign it and cheer from the sidelines and probably get pulled, or we can just keep fighting the good fight and find another hill to die on.
Yeah,
So.
the mayor made it clear that he did not want Governor DeSantis coming in and then putting some of his people into those positions, because there are 6 commissioners we're talking about and the mayor, and he could have removed them all from office had they voted or not signed the addendum. So the mayor said he did what he thought was right for the county and also for the commissioners, but ultimately it's up to the commissioners to vote the way they see fit.
That's right. And then on top of that, they have these Doge Cuts, right? So they're going to be going into all of the documents, which Orange County there's already an auditing process. The state hasn't actually audited them in a while. So we'll see if these Doge Cuts can look at some other things more closely and what, if anything, they'll come up with. But everybody I talked to, the mayor, Commissioner Scott, they both said, hey, our books are open, come on in, and we'll see what happens. But
yeah, the
what
thing
else
that
can
I
say?
found interesting, because as soon as you came back, you were talking about just the tension everywhere in the room. Anywhere you went, there was tension among people, because they want to do the right thing, but doing the right thing sometimes, or what they perceive as the right thing.
The right thing means different things.
Yeah, different things
too.
for different people, what they perceive as the right
I spoke
thing.
with a lady. She was, I hate to use the word elderly, but she's an elderly lady and she told me that she's a voice for the elderly there. And she says, look, I'm a Cuban immigrant. I earned my way here. I worked to get my citizenship. And she said, I think everybody should have to do that. So there were some, and then on the other side, Mayor Demings is getting a lot of pressure from people who are saying, hey, don't do this. Don't sign this.
They
Die
wanted-
on this hill.
Well, there's talk of a lawsuit as well.
There
So
is,
this story has, as we call it in the business, legs.
It has some legs on it.
It's like a spider or an octopus. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's got lots of legs. So we'll continue to follow that. And there are just so many things at play at one time. And you're out there and you're trying to juggle all of that and keep it all together. But great job out there today, because
Thank you very much.
it's
We had a good team out
complicated.
there.
It's
Stephanie
complicated.
Rodriguez was sitting in that meeting. Usually these meetings are so boring, but man, there were a
lot of people, and they were in the overflow room too.
There was no spot for me in the media when I showed up after, so I just kind of stood in the back for a while and watched, and it was very emotional to see people in there. So it was interesting, but usually the emotions are coming from the podium. This time it was coming from the commissioners themselves.
Yeah, I wonder if do we have time to show a little bit of Stephanie Rodriguez's story? She's one of our community correspondents.
Now we see how ready and willing you are to sell out your own county.
Of the dozens of people who spoke during public comment, almost all condemned the updated ICE agreement. The mayor signed the addendum in his own words under protest and extreme duress after the attorney general sent a letter demanding commissioners approve it or face being booted from the board.
So by signing the agreement, we thwarted the calamity of the potential removal from office of our entire commission.
Yeah, and that's basically the bottom line. He didn't want to be removed from office because the governor would have the power to do that. We've seen him do it for some other people in high-powered positions before. Monique Worrell, who was the Orange Osceola person. So that's happened. She got reelected and is now back in office. But again, we'll continue to follow this story closely.
See where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
It is not going away, and those Doge auditors are going to be targeting the city next. They'll be here Monday and Tuesday for Orlando.
They're pretty busy
not
right
Orange
now.
County.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work cut out for them. All right, moving on. We want to talk about another story because the beginning of school is just around the corner. And a key thing for a lot of people who have kids in school, they want to make sure their kids are safe. You want to make sure it is so disturbing that we are in a generation now where these kids, we used to do tornado drills and fire drills, and now they're doing active shooter drills in schools. But we want to show you about a new program that our investigator Mike DeForest talked about, and it's going into some of the schools. Let's take a look at some of Mike's reporting.
If somebody walked up with a firearm out, it would send an alert to the Zero Eyes Security Operations Center. They would then review it and send us an alert immediately.
Captain Todd Smith with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office gave News 6 a peek at the newest technology designed to protect students at school. It's called Zero Eyes, and it takes advantage of the school's existing security camera system to automatically detect possible guns on campus.
Sometimes it takes a person to hear a gunshot or somebody sees something. This cuts all that out. If it happens on the camera system, it alerts us immediately.
Yeah, so Zero Eyes, and that's going to be in the Volusia County schools, which I feel like parents must have a little more sense of relief knowing that there's another layer of protection there for their kids.
Yeah, I know at my kids' high school, they put the metal detectors in, and they tried that for a little while. So they had one metal detector and about 4,000 kids trying to get through it in the morning and get their backpack. If you ever, like today, I was at the county administration building, and it was hard to get through there. Can you imagine 4,000 kids every morning who have to be at class at 7:20? It did not go well. A lot of the kids were an hour late. The lines were super long. So if they could find some other ways to try to keep those guns out of schools, they're going to have to do it. So maybe they'll be able to do it with technology.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. All right, we've got a lot more coming up on News 6 tonight, including that new law that just went into effect just about a month ago. And it seems like it's a bigger, super speeders. It seems like it's a bigger problem in one county than any other. And we'll talk about maybe why that is when we come back. All right, welcome back to News 6 Plus on a Tuesday night, everyone. It has been a day.
You ever have one of those days where you just feel the heat emanating off of your body because it's been nonstop?
But it's honestly, we sat down tonight after doing a bunch of things. We're like, this is exciting. This is exactly how
this is why we wanted to do this show.
Because things are happening at the last minute, and I think that's when I know I thrive when your hair is on fire.
You're a procrastinator like me.
Terrible procrastinator. That's another show. All right. The story we want to talk about now is something that has been in the news for a while. It's Alligator Alcatraz. And now we are hearing, we've had people who have gone in and talked about the conditions, but we haven't heard from people who are maybe on the inside calling 911 for various reasons. So we had a reporter, not one of our local reporters, but it was a CNN reporter who actually got a hold of some 911 calls, and they were some of them were pretty serious calls. We'll just roll a clip of one of them.
Hey, I just wondering if we could get EMS out to the jetport, the Miami Collier jetport. They had somebody trip and fall and bust their face.
Of the almost 70 calls sent to us from the 911 calls for service to and from what was once known as the Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport that we now call Alligator Alcatraz, that was one of the more serious. This was another.
Is she still actively choking? She is not. She's like, she passed out and she's breathing again and she's kind of going in and out.
It is not clear if that patient is staff or a detainee. Most of the calls seem to come from staff whose cell phones accidentally called 911. I counted about 30 of those calls.
Collier County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Yeah, so she was able to get a hold of some 70 911 calls from inside Alligator Alcatraz, and 30 of them is what I call butt dials. Like they did not mean to call.
Worst nightmare would be to butt dial 911.
But you have to, normally when you butt dial, or at least it happens to me, it's always the last number you called. So all of these different people had somehow called 911 before, and so they accidentally redialed them again. We're not sure, as she said, if it's about someone who worked there or an actual detainee having the emergency here. And I guess we're still looking at who the calls are actually about. But it is interesting to hear that that's what's happening there, because a lot of people are very interested in what's going on.
Yeah, choking, slip and falls, the kind of things you would expect to happen, really anywhere where you have thousands of people.
But it's of high interest that it's happening
it is.
here.
And, it's hard. You have to give somebody credit. I love a good public records request. And so the CBS affiliate down there in Miami went to the Collier County Sheriff's Office and said, hey, how many calls have you been getting from Alligator Alcatraz? And then they pulled the 70. And interesting that most of them were butt dials. That was strange.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Fascinating stuff. Good job by that reporter to get another angle to that story that we hadn't heard yet.
Because we've been beating the same angle over and over again. And,
yeah. So it's interesting. What kind of things are happening out there? Everybody's just trying to get a glimpse in. Okay, so let's talk about super speeders. It's come up on this show
a lot.
Quite a bit. By the way, glad if you're joining us on Facebook tonight. We're streaming on Facebook.
Please comment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know where you're from, who you are, and how much you love the show, hopefully.
Wow.
So glad to have you with us. Yes, so 50 miles per hour over, you're a super speeder, or if you break that 100 mile per hour barrier, like you do as you leave the parking lot every Friday.
That's how I get here.
Oh,
I
you're
can't wait
racing
to get here.
to get into work. So it turns out locally, Seminole County has had a bunch of these. They've had 7 super speeders get busted on their roadways.
Yeah, that is a lot for one county, and this thing only went into effect July 1st. Our Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, was wondering if it's a problem in her neighborhood. So let's listen to part of her report.
Florida Highway Patrol says the driver in this Dodge Challenger was going 155 miles per hour, 95 over the speed limit, before he was pulled over on I-4 in Altamont Springs.
Everybody hands up!
As a trooper walks towards the car, you can see smoke rising from the front.
Step outside.
Just over a minute into this traffic stop, and he's placed in handcuffs.
How fast were you going? I was going like 80, and the car's smoking like that?
These are so-called super speeders, arrested under a new law that earns drivers a trip to jail if they're caught going 50 or more over the speed limit or over 100. How often is this happening?
This honestly has been happening almost every other night.
Wow. Let me just clarify something. She said 95 over the speed limit. 95.
Going 155 in that thing?
And he felt it was 80. But
he didn't feel it.
No, I know. His car's literally on fire.
80.
The common denominator I've noticed, they have these fast cars, and a couple of if not a few, have been Dodge Chargers. There was a guy in a Ford the other night, though, who was going 105. But I think that was an anomaly. There are these people who said they had no idea there was this law where you can be arrested and your car
gets to, and these are people who love
Of
their
course, that's why they're
cars.
driving it.
But let me tell you something. That smoke is not good, Gigi. Not only is he going to get a ticket, his car's getting impounded.
he's gonna
need to get that engine looked at because that could be a real problem. Hey, you know what was a problem earlier today? Finished up my live shots downtown.
Just
was grabbing a little bite to eat, and then I look out the window, and it looks like Hurricane Ian is out there. I think we have some of what I shot
video because it was
on my
so crazy
on my
out there.
cell phone. And Jonathan Kegus is here to join us. Jonathan, I wanted to get your take on this video because I was surprised not only at the amount of rain coming down, but at the wind we had going.
Swirly.
The sideways nature.
Yeah, check that thing out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
Doesn't that look like hurricane video that we get anytime a
does.
hurricane rolls through?
It does, and I'll tell you why it does look like that in a second after we kind of admire the shot there.
Yeah, good job.
Take a look at that.
That is
Photographer
some
Matt
great
Austin.
storm chasing video right there. From
Don't give him
where
any
that was
ideas.
downtown Orlando.
Yeah, it was downtown Orlando. I was eating a gyro at the time when I shot that. So if it's a little unsteady, my apologies.
Nice. Taking cover for sure. Yeah, so we have a lot of dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So a lot of times when we get that, they look dramatic because when air is dry in the mid-levels, once you get the rain to fall into that dry air, the rain evaporates. And when it evaporates, it cools. So evaporation is a cooling process. It's how your body cools itself in the summer. But then cooler air becomes more dense than warm air. So it becomes heavier, if you will. And then it falls to the ground and then splats. And that's the downdraft that you were involved in, Matt, of the thunderstorm, and that's why you had that big rush of wind there for that short amount of time. I had one here at the station not too long after that, and then also through a lot of Central Florida tonight. My goodness, another late night of storms, and I think we're going to have a repeat performance of that tomorrow night as well. Yeah, there's also, guys, a lot of shenanigans in the tropics. Models have been painting kind of a dire picture. Coming up at 9:30, we are going to talk about that. I always say we like to separate the trash from the truth when it comes.
I always like that.
I know. We talked about this. Is going to be a bumper sticker, and we don't like shenanigans because if she shenaned once, she's gonna shenan again.
That's awesome.
What
is wrong?
I just don't want it. I don't want it.
Good stuff.
Great
All right.
explanation. Thank you, Jonathan. I love how you just pulls it right out of his head because that's where it lives. All that knowledge
Right
in
there,
his head. Yeah,
in his head.
exactly.
All right, we've got a lot more coming for you. We'll be back after a quick break with another story, and we'll tell you what's coming up at 10. Your incredible interview. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to News 6 Tonight, everyone. Every once in a while, we have a story where someone just says something so crazy, you're like, what is wrong with you? You know, these laser pointers, you're not supposed to point them at a pilot or planes when they're flying, and they can
That's
be
the
very
one thing
dangerous.
you don't do with a laser pointer.
Yeah, well, this
or point it at the president or
anything
like
like
you'll
that.
get in trouble if you do that.
So this is out of Marion County. Let's just hear from the guy who was pointing the laser first.
Think that's you guys? Yep. Put your hands behind your back. Oh, wait. No, wait. Stop. I'm sorry. Being silly. Well, silly sometimes costs you.
He was bored and he was just feeling silly, but he almost caused this Marion County Sheriff's Office helicopter to like have a really terrible day. Like, you cannot point a laser at these aircraft. You just cannot do it. And so he went to jail. He found himself in jail. And not a good situation to be in.
We do these stories, and I always wonder, so for all this to happen, when was the last time a sheriff's office helicopter went over your head that you can remember, right? I don't know. It doesn't happen
random.
often.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah.
And so
you
you
have
have
a
to be
laser
carrying your laser pointer with you, just
and this guy obviously
waiting
did.
for this moment. Maybe he runs into his house and grabs it,
I don't know.
and then you have to shine it at the right spot, and it can really do
some
damage to these guys' eyes. They're looking at, or ladies' eyes, I should say. They're looking through night vision, and when you shine that, it can be damaging.
And I don't know if you know this, but pilots need to see.
It's pretty important.
Yeah, it really is important. So he went to jail. They arrested him, and
just being silly.
So hopefully he learned a big lesson there. We have a lot more coming up. We're not done with the news yet. We're done right now on News 6 Tonight, but coming up at 10 o'clock, again, I spoke with the teacher who was suspended from Brevard County, Melissa Calhoun, who was taught at Satellite High School for several years. She's not going to be able to teach in Brevard County again, is what she learned today. You're going to hear her reaction coming up tonight at 10 o'clock.
We'll see you then.